Beware Obama's 14th Amendment move. That's what we'll talk about today in the video. People have always wondered, or are wondering now, why are the Republicans continuing the shutdown when it's more and more evident that the fight they're waging is over the debt limit? Why don't you just reopen the government and, when the debt limit gets hit, refuse to renew it and force the government to pay debt service out of tax revenues and force Obama to negotiate? I believe that they're correct in keeping the government closed because there's a sneaky move that Obama might well make based on the 14th Amendment. Remember, this is the same guy that passed health care without 60 votes in the Senate because he distorted the Byrd Amendment, the procedural thing, to make that possible. Obama is always using any loophole he can find. And the 14th Amendment provides a very big loophole. The 14th Amendment was passed, as you know, right after the Civil War. And it was a time in which there was a real concern that the former Confederates who were being readmitted to the Union under the Lincoln and Andrew Johnson plan, where only 10% of the people had to say they were loyal to the government, would basically become a Confederate Congress, and that they would repudiate the Union debt and perhaps even pay the Confederate debt. One after another, these former Confederate generals and senators came streaming back into Congress. And to protect against that, they passed the 14th Amendment. And Section 4 of it reads, "The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States or emancipation for slaves." But if you just take the Civil War stuff out of that, it says the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law shall not be questioned. So Obama may take that provision and use it to borrow money even though the debt limit has not been increased. And that's probably why his rhetoric at the moment is all about we mustn't default and I won't let the nation default. And he's slowly expanding the definition of default from its classical definition, which is interest and principal due on bonds of money lent to the United States Treasury, to all of our obligations, including Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare and food stamps, all of the entitlement programs and some of the discretionary programs as well. So, for example, when Obama says we have $60 billion coming due on November 1st, it's actually 66. That's $6 billion of debt service, but $60 billion of Social Security and all other kinds of stuff. And Obama's defining all of that as default. And I think that the move he's setting up is that he's going to use the 14th Amendment to say these are all obligations of the United States authorized by law, and I'm going to pay them all, and I'm empowered to do so under the 14th Amendment, regardless of the debt limit. And the debt limit is now an obsolete issue. And forget about it, I'm just going to blow right past it. In that case, the Republicans have really no alternative. They could sue in court, and 3 years from now it'll be adjudicated. But in terms of this current crisis, they'd be outmaneuvered. But if the government is still closed, they could say, okay, well, you can borrow all you like, but we're not opening the government. We're not passing that continuing resolution. And the Republicans are going to need that ace in the hole, because I'll bet you that Obama attempts to end run them by using the 14th Amendment. Thanks a lot.